Hello, welcome back. I'm Statman Dave, and today we're going to be taking a look at how Arsenal can improve for next season, taking a look at transfers, tactics and formations. This video is brought to you by the Statman Dave Patreon, so if you want to check that out, get some exclusive content, the link will be in the description below. Subscribe if you're new, but anyway, let's get this party started. In the 2 seasons following the Arsene Wenger era at Arsenal, the Gunners have had as many managers as they had in the 22 before. Whilst Arsenal seemed rudderless under Unai Emery, the appointment of Mikel Arteta seems to have galvanised the club, with the former Man City man is laying down the foundations for Arsenal to progress. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at some short and long-term solutions for some of Arsenal's biggest problems. However, before we start, it's important to understand how Arsenal function under Arteta. Since his appointment, Arsenal have largely set up in a 4-2-3-1. They build in a wide structure of their base shape, often using David Luiz's passing ability to get the ball forward. In the final third is where we see a familiar shape, with the left winger and 10 moving centrally, whilst the left back and right winger hold the width, with the right back often stepping into the midfield 3. Key to their system again is David Luiz, who often steps into midfield whilst one of the midfielders who drops wider to cover him, giving Luiz more freedom to play forwards. Regardless of the interactions between the players, the shape largely looks like a 2-3-5 in attack. The main problem Arsenal have faced post-Wenger has been the incompetence of defenders, mainly at centre-back. They've either had good ball players but poor defenders like David Luiz, or they've been good defenders but awful ball players like Sokratis. As we mentioned, David Luiz's passing has been a key weapon for Arteta, but by the time the defender's contract expires in 2021, he will be 34. So to fix their defensive problems, or at least limit them, there's a short-term and a long-term solution. The short-term solution is to find a capable partner for David Luiz, who has the pace and defensive ability to cover the Brazilian, but is capable as well of getting involved in Arsenal's build-up play, unlike Sokratis. Realistically, there are 2 players on their books that could step up alongside David Luiz. The first was signed in January and has already stepped in alongside Luiz, and that is Pablo Mari. Mari is definitely an upgrade to the likes of Mustafi and Sokratis for Arteta's system. He's calm and composed in possession, quite press resistant, whilst he's got an eye for a long diagonal from deep. He's also a solid defender, something that can't be said of many of Arsenal's centre-backs. What's key moving forward for Arsenal, however, is Mari's errors leading to goals. Arsenal's defenders at times have been their own worst enemy in recent years, giving the ball away in key areas and conceding sloppy goals. But Mari makes very few errors leading to goals. In fact, if we compare him to Arsenal's senior centre-backs, he's made far fewer errors that have led to goals per season than David Luiz, Mustafi and Sokratis. But the most exciting potential partner for Luiz was signed last summer, 19-year-old William Saliba. The young Frenchman stands at a massive 6'3.5" and is already a strong defender that reads the game well for his age. A frightening duo. Despite having this season hampered by injuries, he's continued his impressive development. He's been a mainstay in Saint-Etienne's defence, and his return to fitness forced a switch to a back 3 to accommodate him, which speaks volumes for a 19-year-old's ability. He's very calm in possession, often beats pressure through dribbling before playing that ball forward. This ability in possession will be integral to his success under Arteta. I still think loaning him to Saint-Etienne was a bit of a poor decision, when he arguably could have stepped into Arsenal's defence at several points during this season. But hindsight is 2020. Of the 2, Mari is the more immediate, safer option to partner Luiz, but Saliba has massive potential, and even though he's still quite raw, getting consistent game time in the Premier League will be massive for his development. Despite winning possession through tackles and interceptions 3.4 times per game this season, more than Luiz, Mustafi and Sokratis, he commits just 0.2 fouls per game and is yet to pick up a booking this season, which highlights his defensive capabilities. Very similar to a little bit of Rafa Varane. But if Arsenal are to truly sort out their centre-back issues in the long run, they need to find their replacement for David Luiz. Luiz. So step forward Reims centre-back Axel Disasi. He looks like an ideal candidate. With just a year remaining on his current contract, it's rumoured that Disasi would cost around £15 million, which seems to be good value. Disasi looks most capable of replacing David Luiz's direct passing. The Frenchman is brave when in possession, often picking up the ball and looking for those line-breaking passes through midfield. But his preferred pass comes from a wider position, going down the line. Preferring to find passes to wide positions also encourages Disasi to carry the ball out of defence, something only David Luiz does for the current Arsenal side. With Disasi's brave passing, this movement forces defenders to pressure him to stopping dangerous central passes, opening space for other attackers to exploit. He's not as a refined defender as Mari or Saliba, but he's an aggressive physical opponent, which is reflected in either winning possession or committing a foul. In fact, he's committed 37 fouls in the league this season, more than any two Arsenal centre-backs combined. But this defensive blend of Disasi's steel with Saliba's silk could prove to be a formidable partnership for the Gunners. Whilst their ability in possession would allow Arteta to implement his possession game, all for less than £20 million. So with the defensive problems somewhat addressed, let's take a look at the midfield. Arteta's shape seems to have made the best out of Arsenal's midfielders, with a double pivot performing a functional role, not really supporting attacks to create a platform to get the most out of their key creator, Mesut Ozil. Now Mesut Ozil is a huge £350,000 a week problem for Arsenal, but since he signed his new contract, the German has registered just 6 assists in 44 Premier League games. This poor form and huge wages means it's unlikely to get Ozil out of the club before his contract expires in 2021, so a direct replacement is probably unlikely. So to improve Arsenal's midfield, they should look at that double pivot. Granit Xhaka has been the only mainstay in Arsenal's midfield under Arteta, so the short-term solution would be to finding a partner for the Swiss international, whilst the long-term solution could be dependent on another partner. Arteta has trialled Dani Ceballos, Lucas Torreira, Matteo Guendouzi as Granit Xhaka's partner, with nobody making the role their own. But with Ceballos only on loan, he's not really a realistic option for the next few years, whilst Lucas Torreira struggled since moving to Arsenal, not really finding a role as well in their midfield. I think alongside a top-level midfielder like a Kroos, a Thiago, a De Jong, he would work really well, but as much as Granit Xhaka has been Arsenal's best midfielder since Arteta took over, he's nowhere near their level, so of course Torreira suffers. Guendouzi clearly has the potential, and I think he'll be best poised to develop under Arteta, but Arsenal need improvements right from the get-go. I think long-term Guendouzi will probably be in Arteta's midfield, but right now I'd be looking for a new signing to partner Xhaka. The name on a lot of people's lips is Thomas Partey. The Ghanaian is a superb footballer, both combative out of possession and composed on it. He's got the experience of and performed on the biggest stage against some of the world's best sides. And on top of all of that, he's got a very reasonable release clause at just £45 million. If signed, he could immediately step into Arsenal's midfield and improve them both defensively and offensively. He was a standout performer across both Champions League legs against Liverpool this season, blending silk and steel, which would be perfect for Arsenal's pivot. Key to Arteta's system is for the double pivot to allow Luiz to step out defence, cover the wide areas and either keep possession moving with short passes or use long passes to switch the point of attack, all areas where Partey excels. What's more, he showcased his ability to get goals from deep this season, notably against Eibar. Lodi in possession for Atletico. The left back plays it to Partey, who plays it to Saul before surging forward and getting on the end of Costa's flick to finish, breaking the deadlock in the 90th minute. Whilst goal scoring isn't something we've seen from Arsenal's midfield under Arteta, it can't hurt to have those goal threats in your side. Like with defence, Partey is a short-term fix, and depending on Guendouzi's development, it could prove to be a long-term fix too. But if Arteta doesn't see the 21-year-old as a long-term successor to Xhaka, the Gunners will need to find one. And if rumours of his move to Leicester City are true, then they might need a replacement quickly. The good news, however, is there is an ideal candidate with a release clause in his contract. Espanyol's Marc Roca, a combative, deep-lying playmaker. Roca has all the attributes to succeed in defensive midfield. Not only does he make 3.8 tackles per game, more than any other Arsenal player this season, but he's got a really good passing range to playmake from deep. And if his teammates were better finishers, he'd have more than a single La Liga assist this season from defensive midfield, highlighted perfectly against Barcelona and Leganes. First Barcelona, Espanyol in possession on the left with Villa. He gives it to Roca, who plays a 1-2 with Vergas before picking out Lee Wu with a wonderful pass. But the striker heads straight at ter Stegen and should have done a lot better. Next up, Leganes, Espanyol attacking with Granero. He plays it wide to Dada, who tries to cut inside but is dispossessed. But Roca is alive, whipping the loose ball onto the penalty spot, only for Campuzano to skew it wide and miss a great chance. Whilst forwards will always miss chances, Espanyol have been really poor this season and sit bottom of La Liga. But if they'd taken their chances, their expected points suggest they'd be 10 points better off and 3 points clear of the relegation zone. So if Espanyol do get relegated, Arsenal could swoop in there and really steal a top quality central midfielder. The Spaniard also starred at the 2019 Under-21 Euros on his way to the trophy. Spain's attacking shape was a 2-3-5 with Roca anchoring midfield, giving license to the central midfielders to join the attack, but also providing balance and allowing Spain to dominate. And he could perform a very similar role for Arteta, either anchoring alongside Partey or anchoring alone, allowing the Ghanaian to join the attack from deep, as he did against Eibar. So finally, we have to talk about fixing Arsenal's attack. The most effective front five under Arteta from left to right has been Saka as a winger, Aubameyang as an inside forward, Lacazette as a striker, Ozil as a playmaker, and Pepe as an inverted winger. Already there are 3 problems to fix, and that's too many for a short fix, so Arsenal may need to prioritise, and I think the quickest way to improve Arsenal's attack is to replace Lacazette. The Frenchman has already fallen out of favour, with Eddie Nketiah preferred in the last 3 Premier League games, and could still be sold to raise funds to improve the squad. Obviously, Nketiah could be given the chance to impress, but the striker has just scored 11 senior goals in 45 professional appearances, and hasn't really done enough to show he's ready to lead Arsenal's line right now. A super short-term option is Napoli's Dries Mertens, who's available in the summer on a free transfer. A natural false 9, he can perform for a season or 2 and act as a stopgap before the likes of Nketiah or even Martinelli step up to replace him as Arsenal's number 9. But the Belgian looks more likely to sign for Chelsea. Another option would be Real Madrid's Luka Jovic. Despite scoring 27 goals in 48 games for Frankfurt in the 18-19 season, Jovic has gone on to score just twice for Madrid and looks bereft of confidence. Alone with an option to buy could work for both parties. Jovic gets a fresh start, Arsenal get a risk-free replacement for Lacazette, and Real Madrid get the chance to drum up interest in the Serbian. Or, if he performs well, give him another chance in white. Jovic showed during his Frankfurt days that he's got an excellent scoring instinct, with 65% of his goals since the start of the 2018-19 season coming from inside 12 yards, showing his preference for poachers' goals. But in my opinion, a smarter replacement would be Lille's Victor Osimhen. Osimhen is not only a player on the up and filled with confidence unlike Jovic, but his excellent movement and pace allows him to break in behind the opposition, something we've seen Arsenal look under Arteta to exploit through Aubameyang. Osimhen could be used in a similar role to Aubameyang, which would make the potential of losing the forward easier for Arsenal to bear, considering his contract expires in 2021, a year earlier than Lacazette's. However, if Aubameyang wasn't going to commit to Arsenal's future by signing a new contract and sticking around, Arsenal would be wise to sell him, getting funds for a replacement. I understand that getting a replacement is as good as Aubameyang would cost far more than what Arsenal would be able to get from him from selling. But Arsenal are in a big transitional period, and with the levels of Liverpool and Manchester City, Arsenal aren't going to be winning the league. And even with Aubameyang, their chances of them qualifying for next season's Champions League are still going to be pretty slim. And if they were to sell Aubameyang, they could use the funds to replace Mesut Ozil's creativity and give more responsibility to the talented crop of youngsters at the club. The obvious most likely player to come in would be Philippe Coutinho, with the Brazilian spending last season on loan at Bayern Munich with an option to buy. Barcelona are clearly open to try before you buy deals, and Arsenal should follow suit, taking Coutinho on loan for a season to see if he can recapture his Liverpool form. The arrival of Coutinho at Arsenal would force a slight tactical tweak. Instead of playing on the left, Coutinho could operate at number 10, with Saka promoted to the left wing. The left-back slot could be either occupied by Kieran Tierney or PSG's Kazawa, who is reportedly going to join Arsenal on a free transfer in the summer. These personnel changes would simply see Arsenal's system flipped, with right-back Hector Bellerin joining the front five and the left-back playing inverted in midfield. This shape would still allow Saka to take up the same position out wide, whilst it would allow Coutinho to either cut inside to create or get those trademark shots away. Having a creating Coutinho would also allow Nicolas Pepe to return to being a pure goalscorer. The role, he rose to prominence for Lille, whilst encouraging Bellerin to becoming a true overlapping fullback once again. However, like Jovic, there's a far better option out there than Coutinho. Christopher Nkunku, the RB Leipzig man, has registered 12 assists in the Bundesliga this season in 15 starts, with 0.7 assists per 90, bettered only by Thomas Muller. At just 22, Nkunku wouldn't just be a playmaker for now, but he'd be a hub for Arsenal for years to come. The only question marks are his availability and whether Leipzig need to sell him right now. But anyway guys, that's my thoughts on Arsenal. It is now time for #AskDave. This question comes in from Giovanni Panzo, who asks, who should Barcelona sign, Lautaro Martinez or Neymar? For me, this is a real difficult one. Martinez's quality is obvious and would be a direct placement for Luis Suarez, who is getting on. This season, he's got 16 goals and 1 assist in 28 games for Inter. Of course, 5 and 6 in the Champions League, but as well, for Argentina over his career, he's got 9 goals in 17 games. A lot of those coming playing with Lionel Messi. The relationships there, Martinez's work rate will be perfect to maybe get the last little bit out of Lionel Messi in his great career. It could potentially see Barcelona playing a 4-4-2 diamond with Martinez ahead and Messi sitting in behind. The question marks over Neymar's work rate and ability to defend have been massive. PSG have shown that if you poke them, you can easily break them. The likes of Manchester United and of course Barcelona hammering them in recent years after being in comfortable positions, and that mentality would be a big question mark for me if you were to return to Barcelona. With Messi and Suarez in the team, the elder statesmen, they can't afford to carry somebody. Neymar used to defend. When Barcelona was so successful, when they won the Champions League under Luis Enrique, he was fantastic at defending. He'd drop back, create a band of 4, Rakitic would pull right, Messi would stay up front. He doesn't do that anymore, which is why I think Martinez is the better shout. But anyway guys, what do you think? How would you improve Arsenal? And should Barcelona sign Neymar or Lautaro Martinez? Get in the poll above and the comments below. I've been Statman Dave. Subscribe if you're new, and we will see you next time. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, why not check out some more content on the Statman Dave YouTube channel?